Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today's episode is going to be a little bit of an overview of a new project. So some good news and some bad news. Unfortunately, the bad news is the Supercharged Mini is now on hold. Unfortunately, I got very close to finishing it, but not quite there. And then some of you might have seen on Instagram, my Discovery decided to blow its engine up, so that then meant I had to really quickly in one morning slam the carb and everything back on and get the car back on the road to use for daily duties. So at the moment it's pretty much as it was before it came off the road, other than it's got a 12G 940 head, which actually does seem to have helped a bit, even though it's only at 9:1 compression rather than 10.5:1. It does actually seem to be ever so slightly up on low down torque, which is quite nice. But on the whole, you know, that's side bench at the moment. I'm still going to try and carry on doing bits off the car. So I've got to machine all the inlet plenum and stuff like that, make sure everything's nice and flat. And there's stuff I can keep progressing on the car slowly. It doesn't affect its driving. And then once this project's over, I can then jump back on it. But it's probably going to now be a winter 2022-23 kind of project now, I think. So that's a little bit of unfortunate news, but silver linings and all that. It's given me the opportunity to do something quite cool, which I've wanted to do for quite a while, basically ever since I've had my Discovery, and even slightly before when I was looking for one. I've now got the opportunity to make what's potentially going to be quite an awesome car out of a couple of other things. So start off with my car. So this is what shall now be described as the boat anchor. The crank has seized. I don't know why yet. If I get time, I may pull the engine apart and try and diagnose it, but basically I think either the crank has snapped or the oil pump has failed, and it has locked solid. There were no funny noises, no ticking, annoying rattles, even right up to the point where it went bang. There's absolutely no hint of anything wrong. Literally, I was driving along, pulling onto the A1, not even foot flat to the floor, you know, just slowly accelerating, and then bang, just stopped dead. I managed to dip the clutch pretty quickly and coast over to the side of the road, but it was it was not ideal, and then sat at the side of the road for 2.5 hours waiting for recovery. But so that engine is now dead. Looked at various options. You know, the easiest is just to buy another 2.7 V6 diesel and slap that in. But then you're always going to have, you know, you could do it again. You could go to all the effort, spend 3 or 4 grand on an engine, put it in, and the crank snaps again. The other option was to rebuild that engine. Depend on the condition of the block, whether it's damaged the block or anything. You can buy aftermarket forged cranks for them of tougher material to try and alleviate that, but it's not really proven. The source of the cranks is a bit iffy and unknown, so again you'd struggle to have confidence in it, and that's by far the most expensive route. I think by the time you price up everything you do to it while it's out, I think I came to about 6.5, 7 grand on a car that at the end of the day is worth 5 grand. So it's just not worth that. A couple of other options were engine swaps that other people have done. So the one that was looking most promising to begin with was M57 BMW straight 6 3-litre diesel. It's essentially the same engine that's in the L322 Range Rovers, but that soon became a less likely option after finding out a couple of companies that have done it in the past now no longer support Discovery 3s. They do not offer it as a package anymore or any parts for it, so that made me think, well, there's obviously a reason why they stopped it. Again, engines were fairly cheap. You know, you could pick an engine up out of a BMW 5 Series or something like that for way less than £1,000. You do a couple of bits to it before it went in, but you know, that's a fair thing. But then you've got the whole problem of trying to get a BMW ECU to talk to all the complicated electronics in a Land Rover Discovery. It's possible, it's been done before, but it's not easy. So another option was Diesel Pump UK offer a Flywheel and bell housing adapter kit to fit a manual to an OM606 Mercedes mechanical fuel injection thing. That's the easiest option when it comes to actually putting an engine in, because there's no electronics on it. It's like the most basic diesel engine you can get. They can make good power and everything, but the problem you then run is trying to get all the four-wheel drive system, the all-terrain response, everything like that, talks to the engine, gets signals from the engine to tell it certain things. So you've then got to try and replicate those signals from a non-electronic engine. So again, possible, doable, but not really. And you know, you're putting in a much older engine, you know, very strong and everything, but for a built one is pretty expensive, and yeah, just seems slightly backwards. Another route which quite a few people are starting to go down now with these is the 3.6 or 4.4 TD V8. That's an option. They're very expensive engines though, and because people are starting to do them more and more now, they're becoming more and more expensive. So that was an option, but you know, I've also got to consider, you know, I'm towing with this, so fuel consumption, although it doesn't really matter, has sort of got to come into it. And a 3.6 diesel is going to do about 20 to the gallon, whereas at least the 2.7 did about 26, 27. It doesn't make that much difference, but it's all gonna, you know, it's all going in the wrong direction really. And then that brings me to what I have decided to do. So this here is another Discovery, Discovery 3. It's 6 months newer than mine. It's pretty ropey. It was very cheap indeed. It's been sat for a couple of years. The guy was going to try and put it for an MOT, but it's got a failed handbrake module in it, and a couple of other issues. It just meant that it wasn't worth his aggro to get it for an MOT. Having said that, he'd done quite a bit of work on it before he realised that. So it's got brand new calipers on the back, discs, pads all round, lower arms on the front, a couple of other bits. It's had, you know, it's had very recent work that's done literally 0 miles on it. So that lot will be coming off and going on my car, because, you know, why not? And then this car will basically be mostly broken into parts, sold to raise funds for paying for the car, for the engine and stuff. But the main thing that I wanted out of this is this. This is 4.4 AJ8 or AJ V8. I'm pretty sure it's an AJ41, the engine code. So that's 4.4 V8, very similar to the BMW M62 4.4, but it's just got a bit more power and a bit more torque, and largely regarded as a pretty bulletproof engine. One of the things they suffer with, which has happened with this, is the thermostat housing cracks. So they've just got a plastic thermostat housing, sits here in between these lot, it just cracks. This had cracked on this. Someone had very badly tried to repair it with some expanding foam or some kind of atrocity like that. It's not hard to get off, you know, it took me about half an hour to get it off. They're not expensive. I think I've got a new one for about 50-60 quid. So yeah, that's going to go on. The added bonus this has got is it's got full modern injected LPG system, so that will also be going over to my Discovery. Before I saw this, I bought this sight unseen and had it delivered all the way from Birmingham. Before I saw it, one of the other options that I was going to consider was actually doing a manual swap on this. So this is auto. The 4.4 V8 only ever came in auto. The only manual Discovery you can buy is the 2.7 diesel. You can't even get 3 litre diesel with them in the Discovery 4s. The Discovery 4 manuals are all 2.7. I don't want an auto. Been stung in the past. I have actually bought a Range Rover L322 4.4 BMW V8, again automatic, as a temporary tow car, because I've got a tow caravan round and stuff like that. So and towing with that, it's made me realise a couple of things about the Discovery. Having the V8 power it makes it effortless towing. It's great. The LPG system makes it a lot cheaper to run than even the 2.7 diesel, which is great. And towing with an auto box is awful. So it's made me, confirmed to me, shall I say, that I definitely want to go to the effort of doing a manual swap. So basically what I'm going to end up with, hopefully, is a 4.4 Jaguar V8 Landrover Discovery with a manual box. And from what I can tell from my research, I think it will be the first ever V8 manual Discovery. So a couple of people have done Lexus V8s, but I don't think they've been to manual boxes. They've all been to autos. Everyone that does the diesel V8s all go to auto. So yeah, I think it's got the potential to end up as being a pretty cool project. And hopefully a lot of stuff is going to be, you know, swapped over, plug and play sort of thing. There's going to be some definite headaches when it comes to coding and stuff like that. Certainly if I decide I've got to swap the clocks over for, you know, revs and stuff like that. Sorry, the wife called there. Yeah, so I might have to change the clocks because the rev counter and everything obviously is going to go higher. One other thing I'm probably going to do is swap the diffs as well. So take the diffs out of the V8 one, put them in mine, because the ratio is different. It's still potentially not going to be optimal, because the auto box in this versus the auto box in diesel Discovery, they do have different ratios internally. So that means my manual box has got different ratios in it. It will have diesel ratios, which might mean it. Yeah, I don't know. I need to sort of work all that out. But either way, I think swapping the diffs is hopefully going to be enough to make it okay. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's something I suspected anyway, and I've all but confirmed it. Now looking at some of what people do to the XK8s and stuff, they do manual swaps on them, the 4.2 XK8s. The bell housing should be the same on the 2.7 and the V8. So I suspected that was the case, because from all the research I can find, other than the gear ratios, the auto box in a V8 versus the auto box in a diesel are the same part number and everything. So I sort of figured that was what I was hoping for. So it's going to be, I'm going to make a flywheel for it, have a flywheel made for it, because you know there's nothing off the shelf for these, because they never did them in manual. This V8, the 4.4 V8, was only ever fitted to the Discovery and Range Rovers. It was never fitted to anything else, so it's never been in manual format. One of the things that I've just got to do a bit of research into is just making sure that the crank has substantial enough thrusts to take a clutch. Again, there's loads of people out there that have done this on XK8s, and they just bolt a clutch adapter to a flex plate, which is a horrendous idea, because a flex plate will move every time you put your foot on the clutch. So there's no way I'm doing that. I am making a flywheel for it, but it means that, you know, people have done this for the last sort of 10 years, so it's a fairly well trodden path with regards to a manual V8. But what isn't a trodden path is a manual V8 Discovery. So there's going to be learning curves. A lot of the coding stuff, trying to get the ECUs and stuff to talk to each other, might be problematic, but there are some very, very clever people out there. Mike Peake and I can't remember the guy's name now, at Alive Tuning. I've already spoken to Ian Bodsworth about some of the stuff he knows, and he's got some good ideas and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a big project, but I think at the end of it, it's going to be a pretty cool thing. One of the things I really like, already doing a bit of work on this V8, is it's just so much simpler than the diesel. There's so few wires, you can reach down the back of the engine, you know, there's just so much more room around it for working on. I think it's going to be so much nicer. So yeah, I'll just quickly take you over and we'll have a quick look at the Range Rover as well, because there are plans for this. So I've got a couple of little jobs to do on it, just to keep it on the, you know, good side, and also to try and retain its value for when I come to sell it. So this, I will probably do a full review video of this. So this is my 2002 Range Rover L322. Again, very cheap, certainly for what it is. The guy reckoned in the last 2 years he's probably spent about 8 grand on it, and it looks like it. So much stuff has been done on it, but it's not perfect. It's got a battery drain issue, it's got creak from the suspension, which I think is anti-roll bar, so I've got new links to put on that. It's got a little tiny coolant weep at the back, but I know where that is now. I'm just going to order a new pipe for it. So it's all just little things like that, just trying to maintain it and keep it in good working order, so that it serves me well, and then also serves whoever I sell it to well. So one of the big things is these wheels and tyres. So freshly refurbished Range Rover wheels with BF Goodrich brand spanking new tyres. There's 5 of them. One of them hasn't even fit to the car, which is great. And then behind that, what you may notice is it has massive 4-pot Brembos. From all my research and looking online, I believe those big Brembos will fit on my Discovery. So those big Brembos are going to go on my Discovery. These wheels and tyres, providing they clear the body, which I need to do some checks on sizes because they are very big, they will also be going on the Discovery. And It also came with a spare set of Range Rover Sport wheels with half-worn Pirellis on it that I think I'm probably going to sell. Again, a set of 5. It's got stainless steel exhaust, which I don't like. It looks horrendous, but it's not rusty and it's brand new. Got a brand new tow bar on it. So much money, 119,000 miles, so very low miles for what it is. It's had timing chains done. It's had full LPG renew, all new pipes, everything. It's all been freshly serviced. The LPG filler is in a nice place. Someone hasn't drilled into the rear quarter. It's under here, nice and hidden, which is ideal. Hate it when people put them in the bumpers and make it really obvious, and they look horrible. There's no such thing as a nice LPG filler. So yes, it's, as you can see, it's doing its duty at the moment, and it's doing a bit of towing. Just been to get rid of the Peugeot, so that's now gone, as I've now acquired a slight collection of cars on the drive. So, and there's the Mini looking a bit sorry for itself over there, but it does get used every day. In fact, I've actually got to reattach front wheel arch. That fell off on the way home yesterday. Went over a massive bump, and yeah, unfortunately that fell off, but just got to screw that back on, so that's not a problem. And the biggest challenge of the whole lot is going to be getting this out. I don't have facilities to lift the body or anything like that, so this is coming out through here. I'm hoping that because I don't care about this engine, I can be ruthless, and I will literally remove whatever is needed to get it out. I will strip it down to a bare engine if need be. So yeah, I mean, when you compare this, you know, this whole lot, the pipe sensors everywhere, compared to the V8. I mean, the V8 looks a bit more complicated at the moment because there's no thermostat, throttle body and stuff on it. And this has obviously got the LPG system. So all these wires here, LPG, that's all LPG. But look, I can reach down the back, I can touch the top of the bell housing. It's just so much easier. Nowhere near as many sensors. So when this engine comes out, I'm going to do some stuff to it as well. I'm not just going to slap it straight in. So I'm going to do all timing chain kit on it. This is a fairly high mileage engine, which wasn't ideal, but the price of what I paid for this, I couldn't not, basically. So the V8 Discoveries seems to be largely, regardless of miles, go for anywhere between I'd say 7 and 10 grand. V8 ones are so much more desirable because they're so much more reliable. I paid £2,000 for this, which is absolute steal. And there's issues with it. It's not been looked after internally at all. There's fag burns on the seats, and there's auxiliary wiring that someone's put in for what seems to be labelled up as a crane of some kind, and it's had a hard life, I think. But the engine seems sweet as a nut, and I'm going to do some compression checks and stuff on it, but it seems very good, and the rest of the stuff can go in the bin and be sold. So hopefully that's there's enough here to essentially pay for itself, and then the rest of it will pay for the car. So yeah, so that's where I am with this. It's probably a bit of a long-winded video again. I always say I'll try and keep them sweet, but it's not always easy. I tend to waffle quite a lot. So yeah, stay tuned for what's happening with this. I'm going to try and do a proper, as best I can, a proper series to help other people figure out any challenges that I come across. And when it comes to if I have to have something made, for instance the flywheel, I will do it properly. I will have proper drawings for that, so I will be able to then supply people with flywheel kits, clutch kits, whatever, if anyone else decided they wanted to go this route as well. So that's about it for that. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll try and do a review video of the L322 as well. It's got a couple of issues, so I might film some of the work on that. I've got to do the needs a gearbox fluid change, and I'm going to drop the valve body and just give that a check over. I think it might have a cracked valve body in the gearbox, so we're going to give that a check. But other than that, that's it for today, and hopefully it'll only be a couple of months until I'm back on the Supercharged mini project. But as I say, at the moment, unfortunately, that is on hold. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. If you've got any questions about any of this, if other people are thinking of doing something like this, then I'd love to hear about it. If anyone's got any recommendations of people or companies to talk to about doing some of the coding or anything like that, if you offer if you're very well versed in the coding of the electronics and stuff, then I'd love to hear from you. That's one thing that I'm definitely going to struggle with, because I'm computer savvy and stuff, but when it comes to coding, I would have to learn it all from scratch. I don't know any of that, so I am willing to learn. I'm keen to learn, but I need to learn from somewhere. So any help is greatly appreciated, and yeah, hopefully there'll be some more content soon when I start tearing into this. So yeah, thank you very much. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.